Here's a real treat for Disney buffs and old movie aficionados alike. A short animated film that was specially created to be shown at the Academy Awards banquet in 1932, depicting the various acting nominees of the year. It was never meant to be seen by the general public, and it's a milestone for several reasons. It was the first time Mickey Mouse ever appeared on screen in color. And its use of real-life movie stars like Frederick March and Marie Dressler brought a Los Angeles newspaper caricaturist to the studio for the first time. His name was Joe Grant, and he stayed at Disney for quite a while, eventually becoming a key story man and supervising director. Some 70 years later, he's still contributing to Disney animation. I'm here at the corner of Mickey Avenue and Dopey Drive at the Walt Disney Studio in Burbank, California. Hi, I'm Leonard Maltin. Mickey Mouse is more than a cartoon character. He long ago became a pop culture icon. Even little kids who've never seen one of his films may know his face from seeing it on a t-shirt or in three-dimensional form at one of the Disney theme parks. But it was the animated cartoons that established Mickey, and they are well worth revisiting. On this disc, you'll find every Mickey Mouse cartoon released to theaters from 1935 to 1938, beginning with the one many consider his greatest, the band concert. Yet, in a funny way, the band concert spelled the beginning of the end for Mickey as a solo cartoon star. As good as he is in this film, and his range of expression as the frustrated conductor is marvelous, his thunder is easily stolen by a newcomer on the scene, Donald Duck. From the beginning, Walt Disney and his staff had to face the fact that Mickey was a tough character to write for, because he wasn't naturally funny. Cheerful, yes. Likeable, absolutely, but not intrinsically funny. That's why he was always surrounded by funny supporting characters. Clara Cluck and Horace Horsecollar in the early days, then Pluto, of course, followed by Goofy and Donald Duck. By the time Mickey made his debut in Technicolor in 1935, the gag men at the Disney studio were running out of ideas. That's why they so often let Pluto, Goofy and Donald share screen time with Mickey in the years that followed. Still, there's only one Mickey Mouse, and whether he's journeying through the mirror or proving himself a brave little tailor, he's a timeless and endearing character, a genuine movie star.
During the last few years, we've ventured into a lot of different fields, and we've had the opportunity to meet and work with a lot of wonderful people. I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse. Now that's why I want this part of the show to belong to Mickey, because the story of Mickey is truthfully the real beginning of Disneyland. Now that's how Mickey looks today. But I remember another time when he didn't look so prosperous. First time I met Mickey, he was a hungry-looking young mouse playing in his first movie. He was so poor that he didn't even own a pair of shoes. The picture was called Plain Crazy. Now that was the year that Lindbergh flew the Atlantic. Maybe it was crude, but it was a start, and it led to better and better parts. Now as Mickey began to eat regularly, naturally his appearance began to change too. Being only a mouse, I guess it's honest to say he enjoyed all his newfound fame. After all, he was the only mouse to ever win a personal Academy Award. But Mickey at heart was an unselfish little guy. He wanted to help others find a place in the limelight too. His dog Pluto, for instance.
Now watch. I'll show you how to do it. Like this. See?
Now other young, aspiring actors joined Mickey's growing stock company. He had a couple of new proteges, a fellow they called Goofy and a loudmouth juvenile called Duck. Well, Mickey's faith in his two pals paid off. Donald Duck and Goofy graduated from supporting roles to stardom. Now the door had opened wide, the way was clear. And into the studio that Mickey built almost single-handed came the others. Snow White, Dopey, Pinocchio, Bambi, Dumbo. But if Mickey thought he was getting out of grease paint, he was dead wrong. The greatest thrill of his acting career was still to come. It happened on the night of November 13th, 1940, at the Broadway Theater in New York City. The same theater where he made his first appearance as a ragged, shoeless mouse almost 10 years before.
In a 1940 speech, Walt Disney said, "I think it is astounding that we were the first group of animators, so far as I can learn, who ever had the chance to study their own work and correct its errors before it reached the screen. In our little studio on Hyperion Avenue, every foot was drawn and redrawn until we could say, this is the best that we can do." Unquote. What you're about to see was never meant to be shown to the public. 3 complete Mickey Mouse cartoons in their pencil versions before being inked and painted. This was the last stop on a series of way stations along the road, from the first gag meetings to the drawing of storyboards to the first animation. By the time these pencil reels were filmed, the animators' rough drawings had been cleaned up by their assistants, and of course the soundtrack had been completed. But Walt wanted to be sure that the film was as good as it could be before he set it to ink and paint. These footnotes to movie history survive because director Ben Sharpstein saved them in his garage, and his family donated them to the studio in recent years. True Disney fans know that Walt produced many attractions for the 1964 New York World's Fair, including some that went on to become classics like It's a Small World and Carousel of Progress. But did you know he produced a short film that was shown at the 1939 New York World's Fair? It's the one you're about to see, a rarely screened and delightful Mickey Mouse cartoon called Mickey's Surprise Party. Minnie Mouse is the real star of this Technicolor cartoon, but by the film's end, it'll be no surprise who sponsored it: Nabisco. Mickey Mouse rose to fame in the era of black and white, and no character was better suited to stand out in that Mickey's fame was immediate and international. As he became a star of the first rank, so did his creator and alter ego, Walt Disney, who also provided Mickey's voice. And as Walt began to rub shoulders with Hollywood's elite, so did Mickey.
Congratulations, Mr. Mickey Mouse. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Your picture show was fine. It's a hit, and we want to shake your hand.
Even after the introduction of color to the Silly Symphony series in 1932, Walt reasoned that Mickey didn't need the extra boost. His cartoons were already enormously popular. But by 1935, Walt decided it was time for his #1 star to make his theatrical debut in Technicolor. And he made sure that Mickey's first color film was really something special. But it wasn't just color that made Mickey seem a little different than he had before. Mickey's facial design had already undergone several changes since the days of Plain Crazy.
You know, even back in those good old days, it would take about 12,000 drawings to make a Mickey Mouse 6-minute short film. First, we start with the circle, and then we add the ears, the big eyeballs he had. Teeth, he's got to have teeth, I suppose. So there's your classic old-time Mickey.
Now, in the latter half of the 1930s, Mickey was redesigned, but every change brought with it new challenges. Even though both Mickey and his adventures were becoming more refined than they had been in the wild and woolly barnyard shorts of the early 1930s, Walt and his team occasionally returned to one freewheeling style of animation they'd pretty much left behind by then.
Now, by their very nature, it's impossible for inanimate things to have life. Yet a good many years ago, we made a picture in which I think you'll find many plausibly alive objects. This picture was based on Lewis Carroll's famous book, Through the Looking Glass. We took many liberties in this film, including substituting Mickey Mouse in the role of Alice. Like Alice, Mickey Mouse found himself in a topsy-turvy land where the laws of nature were suspended and anything could happen. Here, the plausible impossible was the order of the day.
The Disney team was having a harder time coming up with stories for their plucky hero. So, as often as not, Mickey was teamed up with Donald and Goofy in the late 1930s, and they made a most successful trio. But every now and then, inspiration struck, and Mickey found a vehicle that suited him to perfection. The Brave Little Tailor was just such a film. And animator Frank Thomas had a great time with this particular scene. Here is animation acting at its finest.
I was all alone. I heard them coming. I looked up, and I was surrounded.
Yes?
They were here, there, everywhere. A whole bunch of them. They came at me from the right, From the left, right, left, right.
Yes, yes. Go on.
They were coming closer. The fight was on. I swung and missed. I missed and swung. I swung again and again and again. They were right on top of me.
And then?
And then I let them have it.
The animators also had fun with their leading mouse. When he encountered a rival, they named him Mortimer, the name Walt had first thought of when the idea for Mickey was hatched. And then they designed that character to resemble Walt.
It's Mortimer! Mickey, I want you to meet Mortimer. He's a perfect scream.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the late 1930s, plans were underway to feature Mickey in his most ambitious role yet, the leading part in an adaptation of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. But he didn't have time to get a big head. He still had to carry his weight in an ongoing series of short subject releases. And his star continued to shine as brightly as ever in these beautifully crafted Technicolor cartoons. In time, Mickey would be eclipsed by his funnier, more boisterous co-stars. But Walt remained loyal to the character who put him on the map. To him, Mickey would always be more than a corporate symbol. He represented the kind of pluck and ambition that Walt not only admired, but adopted in his life and career. Some say Walt and Mickey were one and the same.
During the last few years, we've ventured into a lot of different fields, and we've had the opportunity to meet and work with a lot of wonderful people. I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.